So I watched this movie with somebody who I'm not going to say who it was, this particular person. And, well, first of all, I was very unsettled watching this movie. And I was a little bit unsettled. I was just unsettled, let's just put it that way. So this movie basically, you know, I guess, sometimes I be missing stuff because I don't be paying attention that much sometimes, all the time. But sometimes I blank out and I'll be like, oh, that happened. But anyways, so I guess the family stole that house that they were in from somebody else. Because that's what the guy was saying. Oh, you stole my parents, my home. You stole my home or whatever. And so I don't know why they thought that they could do that without it coming back to bite them. Like, I guess they figured, oh, well, they're out there, they're probably gonna die anyway, so we fine, we good. Because the wife was like, see, I told you. And so I was like, why didn't you? Why like, I get it. Why didn't you, like? I don't know, but I don't know what else they could have done. He was just trying to take care of his family, I guess. But they should have at least told the girl. Like, I know she was young, but when you're in that kind of a situation, I'm sorry, like, playtime is over. Like, you need to know what's going on. We just stole somebody's house because you know. And so then she goes outside and the mom's like, "Where's my daughter?" And she's like playing with the little pig, and then those people come and she's like, "Get in the house!" And then the dad's like going after them, and then he shoots one in the leg, and he goes after them. She was like, "I don't think that's a good idea because it's almost nighttime." She was like, "Just stay in the house and lock the door." And I was like, and then he never comes back, and I was like, well, he's dead. And then the guy gets in the house, and I'm like, how did he get in the house? But it was, like I said, his family's house, so there's probably some back door that they didn't know about. And he was like, drop the machete. Like, I don't want nothing but for us to be able to live here, like, in peace, because y'all stole, you killed my family and you stole my house. And I was like, but if y'all did kill his family and steal his house, he has a point. But anyway, so he's living there, and of course she's upset because, I mean, two and two together, he killed her husband. Although her husband did, like, try to kill him, but oh god, it's like this happened, but this happened, but this happened. So I just feel like this was just all a horrible situation for them all to be in. So he's up in there, and she, of course, hates his guts, and he's like, look, I'll give you 30 days, and if you still want to, like, if you still don't want me here, then I'll leave the gun on the table. But I feel like that was him testing her. That was him testing her, and she failed. She failed with miserable colors. And I get it. Like, she didn't want him around because she felt like she couldn't trust him around her daughter. And I don't know any woman that would want some man who killed her husband around their daughter, their child. And he was telling her, he was like, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna hurt you real good. I'm gonna mess you up if you mess with my daughter. And he was like, I don't know why I would want to mess with a child, but you don't have to worry. And those 30 days passed, like, you know and he was trying to, I guess, have small talk and be nice with the daughter. And he was like, I don't know why she would take anything from him. Like, that was just stupid for her to do. I'm sorry, but it was. But anyways, he was like, so did you happen to see, like, writing anywhere? And she was like, and he was like, well, did Steve take it? The little robot that she named Steve, that I thought was kind of cute. But she was like, he was like, well, did the pig take it? Okay, well, whether it was Steve or the pig, just let whoever it was know that they could keep it. She was like, And then her mom's, like, in the greenhouse, and he's like, I guess, making a move on her mom. And I was very conflicted because I felt like she didn't sleep with him because she wanted to. I feel like she slept with him because she felt like she had no choice. That, like, if she didn't, that he was going to either mess with her daughter or that he was just going to, like, keep imposing until he got it from her. Now, I'm not trying to make him out to be a horrible person, but like I said, this was just a messed up situation altogether. Like, they took the house after, shooting both his parents, apparently. He was mad, and he was like, I don't want nothing from y'all but just to be here, because this is the only place, like, on the planet, literally, that we could stay together and live like, like normal people. She couldn't trust him. She didn't want to trust him because he killed her husband, and because she didn't know him, and she had a daughter who she was afraid he was gonna hurt, even though he said he wasn't. But, like, who trusts that, So I could understand why she was upset. But in the situation, I think the best thing to do would have been like, look, let's just call it a truce, okay? You took the house back. We shot your parents. You shot my husband, okay? Look, let's just call it a truce. You don't mess with my daughter, and we can live here. Like whatever. I'm not gonna like it, but I'll do whatever as long as you don't mess with my kid, and we can just live here in peace. Like it's an awful situation either way you look at it, but that was kind of the only thing that was gonna happen. And I think that she just didn't want to live in that situation like that. And I don't think she wanted to sleep with him because she wanted to. I think she slept with him because she felt like she was obligated to, and she did not want to be in that situation. And then her daughter like explodes over it. And here's another thing, like I get it. Sometimes kids, they don't get it, they don't understand, and they make decisions like that because they're kids. But again, playtime is over. I'm sorry. She should have like pulled her to the side after she had her moment and like just spent that time alone and been like, look, we are in a bad situation. We're the only people here. This is how it is. This is what the situation is, and like just explained it to her. But I feel like because her daughter was so mad, and that's what the person who I was watching this movie with said, that she only did what she did because of her daughter. And I was like, well, I don't want to make it seem like her daughter technically got her killed, because I feel like she did do that. Like she was like, he put the gun on the table. She was like, oh, you don't have to do that. And at first I was like, well, maybe they're just gonna be like, she might still hate his guts, but at least like they're getting along. But then she tried to take that gun and shoot him. She tried to shoot him twice, like multiple times, and then before realizing that there was no bullets in the gun, and that he was just testing her. And then she went to go get the knife, and of course he killed her after that. And I'm like I said, this is a complicated and conflicting situation, because she did try to kill him first, but then he was there and he killed her husband, but they did kill his parent and take his house. So it's like, who do you side with? Not to like take sides, but it's like, who do you side with in this situation? But still, like and so at first I was like, well, maybe they'll just like, I don't know, maybe they'll just live here, and they'll just like not like each other, but like get along or whatever. But after that, I was like, he might as well throw that in the garbage. And then she tried to run from him, and he was like, no, stay. And I honestly think he only wanted them to stay there because he didn't want to be alone. Well, he didn't want to be alone because I guess he felt like, the person who I was watching this movie with said that I guess he felt like he had to continue the human race. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, if I had been her daughter in that situation, I don't care if he was the literal last man on earth, I'm not doing anything with him. And he was saying, well, the guy was saying like, oh, like, well, he waited until like, they didn't say how much time has passed, but I guess she was like a young teenager or like an older teenager up into her like maybe almost 20s. And everything was fine. And then he gave her that picture of her mom, and then they had that moment, and then he tried to kiss her. And I was like, see, I feel like he kind of crossed the boundary there, because I feel like I can't say what she thought he was to her, like just some guy. I couldn't say that, you could say, oh, well, he was maybe like an adult figure, just some guy who she was living with. But then he tried to like, kiss her and all that kind of stuff, and she was like she was involved for a moment, but then she was like, I feel like she kind of was like, no, I don't want to do this. This is not right. I don't feel like this is right. And I'm like, okay, well, you have the right to, like, if something happens, you have the right to say, nah, I don't like how this is feeling. I don't like how it's going. I don't want it to continue. So he was basically like, oh, don't worry, like, these feelings are normal. It's okay. And basically went from that to, we're gonna have a baby or whatever. Basically, that was the whole thing. I guess, like I said, he felt like it was his duty to like help continue the human race. And I'm like, to what extent? The only two people are y'all. Y'all can have a son. And let's say that this is hypothetical. You had a child. What if y'all only have boys? Yeah, the chances of that happening is not like high. But what if you only had girls? And what if you had a boy and a girl? They would be siblings, so they would have to sleep with each other to keep the line going. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think that first of all, it's nasty, and second of all, 9 times out of 10, whenever siblings sleep with each other, the genes are too similar, and the children end up coming out with all kinds of health problems, and they were not equipped to deal with no health problems like that. But anyways, so he's like talking about putting a baby in her basically, and she was like, yeah, I'm not doing that, like that's not about to happen. He was like, I'll give you some time to think it over. And she was like, I'm not doing that ever. Like she went from like, I'm not doing that, and he was like, oh, I guess I'll give you some time. I have time. We can wait. No big deal. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that like at all. Like he would not take no for an answer, and so they started going at it, and he was like, you could tell that something bad was about to happen next. And she had that mask because earlier in the movie she tried to like leave because she was so mad, and she went into that little tunnel thing, but didn't realize you had to have a mask to go on the other side because the only like I guess clean breathable air was where they were. She kept one mask and he burned the rest of them because he kept saying that there was nothing else out there, and I guess she didn't believe him, and she was like, well, so is it that there's nothing else out there, or he just doesn't want us to leave? He just wants us to stay here with him. So she had one mask and he found it, and he was like, where are you going? Are you trying to go somewhere? You trying to leave me? And then they started fighting. Then they went outside and they started arguing, and he accidentally, or I think she tripped, or he accidentally pushed her or something, and she hit her head on like, I think it was like the water nozzle or like the water handle. So he brings her back into the house, and she's chained to the bed. And I'm like, wow, way to not make her feel completely more uncomfortable than she already was, especially with the thought of being in bed with you. And was talking about something. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Just calm down. She's over here hyperventilating, and I'm like, I'm afraid because I don't want to see what might happen next. And he's putting like the gun to her head, like that's supposed to make it better. And then Steve comes in the room and shoots him. And I'm where? Wow, I thought he wasn't like a hostile robot or whatever. Steve saved her life basically. She got away and she shot him. I guess he tried to like pull the, so where you gonna go, who you gonna have after me, but he still shot her. I mean, she still shot him. And she was still taking care of like, I guess, the animals and living and eating for the next day. But then she decided to go ahead and leave. For whatever reason, she left Steve behind. Why did she leave Steve behind? Unless he could feed the animals and keep them alive, which I don't think he had the capacity to do. Oh, and he shot Steve, but she fixed him. Yeah, but I wouldn't have left Steve behind. But anyways, it's just like I said, the thought of like that, like I said, that whole situation was just like screwed over. And like talking to the person who I watched this with, we had two completely different views. Like they weren't saying that it was right for him to like try to force himself on her, but I don't think it was right for him to like try and like put like the weight of the whole human race on her shoulders. And like I feel like he kind of, there's like I feel like it's an unspoken rule, and it's wrong, but it's unspoken, that like if you're in a man's house and you're single and he helped you and he's housing you, that you owe him something. But that's just so wrong, and I don't think it should be that way, but it is though. And I feel like he kind of had that same mindset, like at some point I'm gonna get some basically. And I just didn't think that was right. And he waited until she got old enough, which is still kind of like predatory if you ask me, and kind of almost like, well, I won't say grooming. I would only say that if he like taught her from a child that it's your job, that when you get old enough you're gonna give me a baby, then that would be grooming. It was still predatory if you ask me, and it was just wrong for him to expect that of her. Like I said, if he even would have thought saying that to me, I would have been like, the human race is doomed, and I can't stand you for even like suggesting that. Like I just thought it was so wrong. Like I said, everything was conflicting with this entire movie. But if y'all saw it, let me know what y'all thought in the comments, because I'm still uncomfortable. Okay,